Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining me. I am part of the Rita Bearcat Christmas blog hop that is happening today. If you stumbled upon my video and you weren't over on my blog, please make sure and go check it out. It's in the description box down below, the link to that. There are some fabulous designers that are doing some really great Christmas projects for you today, and I don't want anyone to miss out. I am going to be making a Christmas countdown, and how I'm going to be doing that is I'm going to be using this wonderful mixed media paper artboard that is by Seven Gypsies Canvas Core Brands. I absolutely love it. It's a wonderful surface. Unlike a canvas, it is solid through and through. So sometimes, depending on how your canvas has been laid, it can buckle in the middle a little, have a little bit of give. This does not. It is so perfect for mixed media. It's already gessoed and it already is ready to go. It has been designed for mixed media. I'm going to start off this process by painting my board this green. It's just green. It's by Plaid Folk Art. And I'm not going to be real neat or anything about this at this point. I actually am just flopping that down like this. I'm going to do some paper collage on it with a really pretty napkin. And so I just want to get some color underneath of it because the collage I am using is going to show through. And I want that to kind of have the hint of green. I'm having to manipulate my products that I'm using today to reflect Christmas, which is my very favorite thing to do. Nothing I'm using is quote unquote for Christmas. So I'm having to go ahead and just get things, paint it green and use green and pink or green and red for my colors, even though the items I'm using are not necessarily for Christmas. I'm going to make it all Christmas. Okay, so I need to let that set up for a few minutes, and then I am going to lay out the next thing. Once your board is dry, we are going to lay out with some gesso, some clear gesso, a napkin. Now, as you can see, this does not look very Christmassy. It really isn't. It's just a pretty napkin. I think I found it at Michael's. When you use napkins on your mixed media, there is a thin layer. It's like it's two sheets. You want to take off that backing. So with the backing, it would have looked more like this. Without the backing, so from here, what we're going to do is I'm going to lay this out. Now you can lay it out flat like this, or to add some texture, you can go ahead and just crumple it up. So I'm going to lay out some clear gesso down first, and I'm just going to use my fingers to spread this. And the reason why is because if I use a brush, there's a chance that it will ruin it. And if I use a little sponge applicator, same thing, it dries on, and it's easier for me just to go wash my hands. Going to add a little bit more to the top. The great thing about this is it is also a sealer and a glue. And as I add this to the top, I'm just going to make sure that I take the edges and just wrap it around. Or you can just tear it off. And see how that's tearing right there? That's totally okay. It gives it some wonderful personality. In fact, mine wants to tear off, so I'm just going to tear it off. That's all good. I am a bit heavy-handed with my clear gesso. You probably don't need as much as I'm using. This isn't entirely dry, but that's okay. I want to add on some color shift. This is Green Flash. My point in adding this is this again is going to dry and you're still going to be able to see that pattern through. However, clearly this doesn't look very Christmassy. And I don't really need it to look too Christmassy because I have some things I'm going to add to this that is going to help do that. But I want the back to just blend in nicely and reflect Christmas. Again, I'm going to be using my fingers. This is Color Shift by Plaid, and if this isn't translucent enough for me, I can go ahead and add some water to this to help water it down and get it to be a bit more translucent. I'm really loving how that's looking, and I actually want to throw on some of these little Christmas trees. So I'm going to throw down some more of my clear gesso. As the board dries, I'm going to work on my 3 stamped images in which I'm going to be using art foamies as well as some very cool embossing powder. I'm going to show you that after I move this out of the way to dry. Now I'm going to work with the art foamies, creating the embellishments I'm going to use on pop dots to put on the countdown calendar. I'm using the Rita Bearcat candy line. I think that's what it's called. It's pretty easy to find. It's her only candy line. And I'm going to be using the Fairy Wings embossing set. This is the base. And this is actually like clear embossing thick powder. And then it comes with 5 different colors, pink and green, which we're using today. And it also comes with some lovely purple, gold, and blue. So I'm going to set these aside. I'm only using the green and the pink. There are a couple different ways to do this. You have to work with this when it's hot because you want to lay out the base. Some people like to lay out the base first and then kind of sprinkle in the color over that in a random powder. Some people like to mix all the colors together and then sprinkle it over. Like this. That's how I did first this, is I put in some fairy ring base and then some of the green and some of the pink. That's what I did with this one. And then I realized that I wanted my base to have more green, so I added more green, left the pink out, and then I sprinkled the pink on later. So it's kind of a process and it's fun experimental art play. But I discovered that I like to first use the wing base and one of the main colors, heat set that on first. While it is still wet and melted, I go ahead and sprinkle on another color, tapping off the excess and then heat setting that. And usually I'm good at that point. There's a couple different ways to do this. Whatever I don't use in this, unfortunately, I have to toss because I have it mixed in with other colors, so I don't want to contaminate my other colors. So just be mindful of that. And you can find the wings. I'll have the link for this down below. I think it's Emerald Creek has them, as well as the Rita Bearcat Etsy shop. I just like to get it from her, so that's how I do it. All right, so you need to use a pigmented ink. I'm using the Brutus Monroe. You can use an embossing ink. My embossing pad right now is a little bit torn up, so I'm using this white. I also like this because I can kind of see where it goes, even though I'm on white paper, right? And I really want to get this art foamy nice and inked up. The beauty of the art foamy, this has to be one of my favorite stamps, is it does a really nice image, and you can use ink on it, you can use paint on it, and it's still going to give you a really good image. So I'm using this more like a traditional stamp today, but normally I like to use them on my gel press plate, and I'll lay out color, press these into it, and then, you know, do a couple gel press pulls with it, And from there, I clean my art foaming on a plain piece of white paper, and then I get a really cool image as well. So there's so much you can do with this. This big lollipop is fun because you can just use the lollipop top for like abstract circles. It's so cool. I love this set. All right, so from here I'm going to take this and I'm just going to have to pour the rest of it out on my stamped image. And as you can see, it's majority blue, which is what I wanted. And I'm going to dump that. I see a few spots that aren't quite to my liking. So I'm going to go over it one more time. I really don't care that I'm getting a mess around the image because I'm going to be trimming it out. All right, so from here, I'm going to get my fairy wings open, my pink and my green. I have those off screen so they won't be touched by the heat gun. And I'm going to set this. I'm going to work a little bit quickly. Add some of that in to that spot that's already been set. And I'm going to try to get as much of this green back into my little container as I can. See how that's kind of moving around on the side? Look how pretty that is. I have to let this dry a little bit. It needs to cool down. I love, 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 love the fairy dust, man. The fairy wings are so awesome. I cannot wait to play some more with this. There is a little bit of a learning curve to it, so just keep that in mind when you are playing. Hopefully you learn something from me and my mistakes with it, and I have made mistakes with it before, but the important thing is to start off with the base and mix in the color that you would like, and then from there go ahead and just start pouring out one by one your colors, putting that color back into your little container to not to contaminate it, heat setting that, moving on to another portion and just working back and forth. That way you can keep the majority of your color. You have greater control over what goes on your image, and it just is so pretty. From here, I'm going to go ahead and just take a marker and probably with some pink or red and fill in these lines. And that will just help make it look more festive. I've gathered the rest of my material to finish off this canvas. It's still wet, but that's okay because it is a gel medium that is, it's the clear gesso that's wet, which kind of seals the whole thing in anyway. So I can start to layer. It's going to dry clear. It's going to be totally fine. But let me show you what I have done. I've cut these beautiful candy pieces out, and then on the back, I just took some craft foam that you can find in the kids section at your local craft store. I actually found a pack of 20 for $1 at the dollar store, and I simply, just for stability, I adhered and trimmed out all my candy with these. Also, this is my little chalkboard piece that you can write on. I have a piece of foam on the back as well because this clip gives it a little bit of dimension. I thought that she would be cute, glammed up with some stickles and peacock and fruit punch. as like a little sugar plum fairy type deal to add to this. And then of course I need to have Christmas countdown somewhere on my canvas, and I found these really great pink and green stickers, alphabet stickers, in my stash. It matches perfectly. So I'm going to assemble this off screen, and then I'll come back and show you the finished piece as well as pictures of it. If you don't have chalkboard paper, that's what this is. I got it from Canvas Core Brands. You can go ahead and just on your computer print up 1 through 25, the numbers 1 through 25, cut them into squares. Use a little clothespin clip and just use a piece of Velcro on the back and just keep Velcroing it back and forth onto your canvas. I'm doing this more for decorative than anything else. I'm going to adhere the whole thing. So I'm going to finish this up and I'll come back and show you the finished product. And here is the finished project. I went ahead and added I think they're the Crystal Clear Nouveau Dewdrops in strawberry. I was just going to do like 2 here and 3 here, but I can't help myself. I go crazy with them on these mixed media pieces. I love the whimsical look, so there you have it. I added a little bit of sparkle and bling to her as well. Just trying to make her, I used like a peacock and a red, trying to pull in a little bit more Christmas feel to it. And then I took my stickles and swirled around the white that I had marked in with a Copic marker. And you can use chalk on that for the countdown. I actually think I'm going to mail this to my mom. She teaches preschool. I think it would be perfect for her room. A little sugar plum fairy girl and her lollipops and suckers and little candy for a countdown. I think that'd be cute in a preschool room. So if you are not following me or subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. You can find me on Facebook under Bets Golden, as well as Instagram, Bets Golden, Twitter, Bets Golden. I'm there. And make sure you hop on over to my blog listed down below so that you can join in the awesome blog hop that is happening. Until next time, happy crafting.